Ultamize. Let me paint you a picture. You're in a doctor's waiting room, maybe 15 people sitting there quietly, some reading, some just sitting, a reasonably civilized environment. And then someone 3 seats away puts their phone on speakerphone, full volume, both sides of the conversation audible to the entire room. Personal details, loud, completely unapologetic. And nobody says anything. Nobody ever says anything. Nobody wants to be rude. They just sit there, every single one of them, absorbing a conversation they never asked to be a part of while their blood pressure quietly rises. Been there, and I know you have too. You know this scenario. You've lived this scenario probably multiple times this month. And here's what I find so fascinating about it: the person on the speakerphone isn't doing it to be cruel. They're not thinking, I'm going to impose my private conversation on 14 strangers right now. They're just, and this is the key word, and they're just not thinking at all. They're not thinking about anyone in the room except themselves. That's what using a speakerphone in public really is. It's not rudeness in the traditional sense, but it's a complete and total suspension of awareness that other people exist. And that suspension of awareness, that's the real epidemic. The speakerphone is just the most obvious symptom of it. Because once you start looking for this pattern, once you start noticing the moments where people simply stop registering that other human beings are sharing their space, you see it everywhere. You see it in the person who has a full volume conversation on their phone in a quiet train carriage. Not speakerphone necessarily, just talking loudly for 40 minutes about nothing that couldn't wait. You see it in the person who plays videos on their phone without headphones in a shared space, like an airport. Music, YouTube, whatever it is, just pumping it out in the environment as if they're the only one there. You see it in the person who takes calls on their earbuds and walks through a crowded space, having what looks to everyone around them like a conversation with themselves, except at a volume that ensures everyone within 20 feet is involuntarily a part of the conversation. You see it in the person at the coffee shop who sets up what is essentially a mobile office. There's a laptop, phone, tablet, papers spread across a four-person table during the busiest hour of the day. You see it in the gym, in the grocery store, in the elevator, in the restaurant. Everywhere you look, people have quietly stopped registering the effect of their behavior on the physical space around them. Now, here's the question worth asking: why? Why has this happened? Why now? I think the answer is actually simple, and it connects back to everything we've already talked about. The phone has created a private world, a deeply absorbing, endlessly stimulating, completely personalized private world that you carry in your pocket everywhere you go. And the more time you spend in that private world, the more the physical world and the actual human beings in it recedes from your awareness. Room anymore. You're in your phone. The waiting room is just the inconvenient physical location where your phone and your body happen to be. And when someone is in that state, when their primary reality is the screen in their hand, they genuinely don't notice the impact they're having on everyone around them. They're not there. Well, not really. Now, here's what makes the speakerphone example particularly instructive, because it's not just about volume, it's about consent. When you put your phone on speakerphone in a public space, you're making a decision on behalf of every single person in that space. You've decided that they're going to participate in your phone call. You're deciding that their preference for quiet or for privacy or for simply not being subjected to your personal business is less important than your convenience. Pretty presumptuous when you think about it. You made that decision for them without asking, without even acknowledging that they exist. That's the pattern underneath the speakerphone. That's what makes it more than just an annoyance. It's a small but very clear statement about whose experience matters in a shared space. And the answer for the speakerphone person is always mine. So, what do you do about it? Both in terms of your own behavior and in terms of navigating a world full of people who haven't figured this out yet. For your own behavior, the rule is simple. If you're in a shared space, any space where other people are present, your phone is in your ear or it's silent. That's it. That's the whole rule. The speakerphone is for your car, your home, your private space, not, I repeat, not for public consumption. And for navigating everyone else, well, I won't kid you, that's harder because confronting a stranger about their speakerphone use is a social minefield that rarely ends well. What you can do is refuse to normalize it in your own circles, in your home, in your workplace, in the environments where you have some influence. Because the truth is, most people who do this, most people who blast their speakerphone in waiting rooms, train cars, coffee shops, they've simply never had anyone in their life clearly communicate that it's not acceptable. Not because everyone around them thinks it's fine, because everyone around them is too polite to say so. And so it continues. And the waiting rooms get louder, and the shared spaces get less shared. And the informal agreement that is civilization, that agreement we talked about earlier, the one that says, I'll consider how my behavior affects you, that agreement erodes a little more. One speakerphone call at a time.